Hello, I'm here with you today to show you my dashboard as the final project for the Data Engineering Zoomcamp course. And I'm recording this video in case the dashboard is not available anymore, so you can get an impression on what has been implemented. So first thing first, the CarbonLens project aims to provide like a clear lens to explore the intersection of emissions and development. So if you checked my GitHub, you could see the whole end-to-end data pipeline, and the dashboard was implemented in Looker. And here in my dashboard, I have split it up in four sections that I am gonna go through with you all. And these sections, they are based on my problem statement. So here I have the first section, which show how emissions vary by economic development level. Sorry. And yeah, a couple of bar graphs because that is a easy way to compare the different categories. And moving on, we go to the countries with highest CO₂ emissions. You have the map of the world, but also two other bar graphs with the total emissions by a country and also total emissions per capita. Because it is, of course, not only important to see how much a country is emitting, but also having these comparisons of how many people live there. I also included here country's profile overview with a couple of metrics. And moving on, we can see how the emissions profile changed over time. This data here is aggregated by region. It was one of the requirements of this final project that we could show a time series data. So here it is. And the last one, we have a scatter plot to see if there is a correlation between HPD and emissions. And which kind of conclusions can we see with all these graphs here? This is the initial project, like it has been stated in the project background. I spent around 40 hours for the whole project. So we cannot derive any kind of statistical relevant results from here. But there is a couple of things that are quite interesting to see, or that I found interesting nevertheless. We can see that first of all, like over the years, the countries that are categorized as like a higher income, they have much higher emissions compared to the lower and to the lower levels like of income. And even when we compare the percentage of the global population, this is quite interesting to see that the upper middle income countries, they are responsible for almost 50% of the total gases that this is cumulative has been so far, while they have only 33% of the population. So moving on, this last graphic I also find very interesting because here we can see their emissions per capita and the GDP per capita. And here we could see, for example, the countries that are here, that would be like the rich countries, but they are not, their emissions are relatively low compared to the others. They would be like the example of countries to be followed. This is grouped by subregions. So here we have Western Europe with as one of these profiles. Yeah, like I said, examples to be followed. Not necessarily, again, this is quite superficial analysis, but this is what we can derive from what has been done and move on to further investigations. And likewise, the countries that score here with a lot of like emissions per capita, but at the same time they are not that rich, they would be maybe the most problematic ones. Wow, this is it in terms of like the looks of the dashboard. If I go to the editing, well, although I created several models with dbt, I am here using only two. There is a stage one that is here, but should remove it. It's not being used anywhere. So why is it done like that? As I stated, my main goal with following this course was for like learning and exploration. And the part of analytics engineering is the part that I like the most. So I spent more time with DBT maybe than the other parts. Yeah, the transformations is something that I find really interesting to do. Which kind of data can we group, and also thinking along in the future, which kind of stakeholders would have access to what. So I created all those models there, but they have not necessarily been implemented yet. To be able to conclude this project, I limited myself to this only two, which is the emissions by development. So we can see here the countries like group by the category in terms of their income, but also the time series because this was a requirement of the project. And I found very interesting to. Okay, one more thing. Sorry, before I finish here, I also added here because I thought this was quite important. A field with the baseline year for the long-term calculations. We have some calculations. Well, we have some categories down here for the long-term trends. So those calculations they were there defined in DBT, but they use a baseline year, which is the earlier data that we have in the case in our project here 2015. So when the stakeholders are navigating through the form sorry to the through the dashboard, they are aware of which kind of data of the time period of the data available to them, because unfortunately we also only have data up to 2023. From the World Bank, if I'm not mistaken, I could download up to 2024 last year, but not for the climate trace. So as it needs to be merged, that was one of the conditions that I set in DBT as well. Yeah, I think that's it. And if you have any questions about this project, feel free to reach out to me. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.